Hey student, watch this video and learn 3 English speaking mistakes students make. Coming up. Hey friends, Teacher Prix here to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. First of all, thank you so much for joining me on another English lesson. From Monday to Friday, I have many different kinds of English lessons to help you become a better English speaker, so consider subscribing, why not? Now, let's dive into the content. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about 3 English speaking mistakes students make. These mistakes are very common, and I'm also going to show you some strategies, things you can do to work on these mistakes that most English learners make when they are trying to speak English, okay? Now, before I move on to the first mistake, I have a free ebook where I share 5 different strategies to help you better understand and talk to native speakers. So if you are interested, the link is in the descriptions. You will have to click there, register your best email, and after that, you will receive this free ebook as well as some weekly tips, okay? So make sure to check it out. Now, the first speaking mistake students make is to confuse tenses, okay? Primarily, we have 3 very important tenses in English. We have present, past, and future. When making sentences in English, and when I say making sentences, I mean when you're talking, okay? When you are building phrases, when you are giving an answer or perhaps asking a question. So whenever students do that, they tend to confuse the tenses. Either they speak everything in the simple present, or they use simple past with simple present. So this is a very confusing structure mistake that students end up making. Now, what I'm trying to show you here is I want to give you an idea of things you can do to work on this, and I want you to start paying attention to this, because what I believe happens is many students start learning English, but they don't fully understand the different tenses, the conjugations, the different forms of the verbs, okay? So having a reminder of paying attention to that and trying to correct that will be a very important step in the process of learning English and becoming a better English speaker, okay? So here, honestly speaking, I believe that for you to change this, you might want to consider taking on a consistent practice to help you work on different tenses. Understanding the rules doesn't mean you know exactly how to use the tense. So it is important to review. So here at this moment, I am in favor of people watching some videos to remember to review the rules and get some explanations. But I'm not really in favor of sitting down and doing hundreds of exercises. No, not that, okay? So here, there are 2 kinds of practices that I believe will help you work on this problem, so that whenever you have to speak English, you will be clearer, you will be able to express your ideas more clearly, okay? Now, the first one is the one I already mentioned. Watch and review some lessons. Simple present lessons, simple past lessons, future lessons, they can help. You don't need to spend most of your time doing that, okay? Be strategic about that. But I do recommend spending a little time working on this. So it's nice to watch some videos. You know, Google, go on the search bar and search some simple present videos and explanations. I'm sure you will find amazing teachers here on YouTube that will help you with that. Now, the second thing that I recommend is an oral practice, even if you are alone. I do this every week to study. And how does this work? If you have this problem, confusing the tenses, confusing past, confusing present, confusing future, having an oral practice consistently every week, it doesn't have to be every day, but every week you set aside some time to practice the tenses orally, you will improve, okay? So how does that work? Primarily, just get a phone. You know, if you have a phone, you know, just start recording yourself speaking some tenses in the present, in the past, in the future. Oh, but Priscilla, what kind of tenses should I make? What examples? My best suggestion is focus on examples that can describe your life. So if you are going to talk about simple past, think about activities that you did the day before. So what did you do yesterday? Do you remember? Start describing that. And every day, or every week, whenever you sit down to practice, try to remember things that you did connected to your life. In the present, the same thing. You can talk about your everyday activities, things you usually do. In the future, you can talk about your plans or things that are going to happen, or maybe you watched the news and you heard something is going to happen. So this is a more productive way to create realistic examples that are going to help you better understand how to use these conjugations and remember to make the appropriate changes, okay? Now, moving on. Speaking problem number 2, creating words that don't exist. And this is a very serious problem that students have, and they make this they create these words and they don't even realize, unless they are having a conversation with someone that really didn't understand them, or whose language is not the same. The person they're talking to is a non-native speaker of their language. It's a native speaker or someone from a different country. So this is something that you can avoid by doing simple things, okay? So basically, what does that mean? When you are in a conversation and you are not sure of a certain word, you create something that you believe will be the right word, okay? So when that happens, guys, when you don't know a word, instead of creating a word, creating this word you believe is right, but you're not sure, try to explain the word you need. This is actually a technique. It's a technique we call paraphrasing. When you don't have the exact word you want or that you need to find a way to be able to explain that word with the words you have, with the vocabulary you have, because this will make the conversation easier for the listener. So if every time you create a word and expect the listener to understand, you are going to have communication problems, and maybe the listener's facial expression will make you feel worried and stressed and anxious because the person may not be understanding you at that moment. This happens a lot. Whenever I have a student who does that to me, I immediately stop them and I say, look, don't create words. And this happens a lot to Latin students who speak Portuguese, who speak Spanish, Italian, French. We have a tendency to, and I include myself there because I'm Brazilian, we have a tendency to create words that don't exist. So be very careful about that, okay? Now, what kind of practice? As I mentioned, paraphrasing. And what is paraphrasing? Paraphrasing is the ability that someone has to describe something, a place, an object, a word, but without the words, without the exact words, or without the most obvious words, okay? So instead of just creating vocabulary lists, create an audio list where you explain the words to yourself. So you can have a vocabulary list, but in that list, your focus will be explaining that word. How creative are you? Use your imagination to explain the words you're studying. This will help you in real life conversations when this happens. When I am teaching my students, I have all kinds of students, doctors, engineers, architects, many, many different kinds. And sometimes I don't know the exact words I need, so I explain. I explain what I want, and they understand, and vice versa. So this is a strategy that will work for you no matter what your level is. Of course, respecting your limitations and your level, but this is a strategy. The paraphrasing strategy is a strategy that you will use for the rest of your life. In any language. I imagine that you do that already in your language, because sometimes you don't remember a word. You forget it, we're human beings. So make sure to check that out, okay? And hey, if you are enjoying the lesson as usual, I'm here for a moment asking for your support. When you like the video, and especially when you share the lesson, it really helps YouTube understand that this is the kind of lesson you enjoy, this is the kind of lesson you want to learn more about. So if possible, like and share with your friends on Facebook, on WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups, around. Anyway, number 3, lack of emotional control. And I think this is the one that doesn't require language skills to be worked on, okay? Your emotions, guys, your emotions can become your biggest ally, partner in crime, or they can become your biggest enemy when it comes to speaking English, and not necessarily just English, but everything in life. If you want to try to get a new job, change your career, in relationships, everywhere. If you don't know how to manage your emotions, they will overwhelm you, they will control you, and because of that, many students panic whenever they don't know a word, or whenever they don't understand something, or they can't explain what they want. So I invite you to start observing your behavior, your attitude, whenever you have a speaking problem. Because if every time you get stuck, you immediately panic and you can't think clearly, that is a sign that you are not learning to deal with frustrations. You are not working on dealing with strong emotions, good or bad, okay? Have you ever seen someone who is laughing so hard that it's impossible to talk to them? That's lack of control too, okay? So emotional control is for the good feelings and the bad feelings. Because if I start laughing here about a joke and I don't stop, you will not finish the video because I will not be controlling my emotions. So learning to manage your emotions means that you are able to control the good and the bad emotions, because there is a place and there is a time for you to feel certain feelings, okay? And when you are in the middle of a conversation with someone, if you can't handle the way you feel, if you can't handle the internal dialogue, that little voice in your head, or those horrible images you see, like a movie, horrible scenes that you see in your head, or that feeling that your heart is hurting or your stomach is burning. If you can't control that, if you can't learn to deal with that, it'll be very hard for you to speak. It'll be very hard for you to improve. And as I told you, it's not just about the English language, but about pretty much everything you do in life. And when you panic, when you are very stressed, when you are extremely anxious or afraid or frustrated, it is very difficult for your brain to access your memories, to access the information you know about that subject. That's why so many students feel like they don't remember anything, that all the words vanish, because your brain is too stressed out. And when your brain gets that way, no matter what you do, the only thing that will make you go back to yourself, to your normal self, is calming down. Breathing, okay? So what I do recommend here is, first of all, the paraphrasing technique. Learning to explain things will help you control those feelings of, oh my God, I don't know what to do. What do I do? What do I do? Explain what you want. Use basic words, use simple words. I think I have some videos where I talk about paraphrasing here, okay? And when you prepare yourself during your study practice, this can be a very powerful technique that will help you master this fear, this anxiety, this frustration whenever you don't feel comfortable about having a conversation in English, okay? Now, just because this is a good technique doesn't mean that in 2 days or in 2 weeks you will be amazing at paraphrasing and you will be amazing at doing this and problem solved. No, paraphrasing is a skill. Every skill or strategy, every skill needs to be nurtured and mastered. This takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So if you start today because I'm giving you this recommendation, but you don't keep going, I'm sorry to break it to you, but you're not really going to feel any result, okay? Now, for the emotions, for this aspect of the language, and not just the language itself, but of your personality, everybody has emotional issues that need to be worked on. I recommend meditation. Meditate, yes, for anxiety, for fear of what other people will think about you. Because by meditating, you will be working on intense feelings, and this also boosts your self-esteem and overall confidence. I have been meditating for um 3 or 4 years, and I only get better and better. When I started meditating, I believe this was the hardest thing for me to do. I thought it would be impossible for me to do that. But today I can meditate sometimes for 20 to 30 minutes. So I feel really proud of myself. It's been a journey full of ups and downs. You know, it's not always easy, but it's definitely something that has been helping me a lot to overcome my fears and help me become a more confident woman. Okay? Other than that, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Let me know here in the comments, participate in the comments. Tell me what you think about these ideas and these problems. Do you agree with them? What problems do you have? I would love to know. And if possible, as I said before, when you share this video, you really help the channel grow. So if possible, share this lesson and hit the like button. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow for another English lesson. Bye!